as the doctor other doctors call when they don't know what to do, may have the solution you've been searching for. Warning, this controversial doctor is famous for telling it like it is. So if you're offended by strong, straight-to-the-point language, then please exit this video now.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lionel Shub, and thanks to a recent breakthrough in nanotechnology, we now know that hidden deep inside the male body is a secret sex organ that controls your dick. Not only does this hidden sex organ control when your dick is erect, it controls when it's flaccid. It controls how hard it gets, how often it gets hard, how quickly it gets hard, and how long it stays hard. Not to mention, this strange, just discovered sex organ is like your sexual battery that not only powers your stamina in the bedroom, but also controls how good sex feels to you and your partner. You'll see why in a moment. On top of that, if you were to stretch this microscopic organ that's inside of you right now to its full length, it would wrap around the earth 2.5 times. And no, I'm not talking about your prostate, your brain, or even your penis. And yet, when it comes to sex, this almost invisible organ is arguably more important than your penis. So if you've suffered from performance problems, limpness, low libido, or full-blown bouts of impotence, and are searching for a breakthrough solution that can help restore rock-hard erections at any age, the kind of erections you enjoyed when you were younger, the kind of erections that will bring back the magic to any marriage or relationship regardless of how rocky things have been, well, listen up. Because in the next few minutes, not only will I reveal what this organ is, where it's located, and most importantly, how to flip the switch and turn it back on, and how the oldest men of an ancient tribe of cannibals stumbled onto this switch over 500 years ago and used it to satisfy 4 to 5 wives apiece, which is exactly how the tribe survived total annihilation by a Portuguese invasion. Plus, not only will I reveal why this long-lost secret has been hidden from the general public until today, I'm also going to show how you can use this ancient secret to turn your wet noodle into a jackhammer in the bedroom at the drop of a dime. Finally, I'm going to blow the whistle and expose why most doctors are ignoring this breakthrough, even though new clinical evidence proves that this secret is safer and more effective than any of the other so-called solutions on the market, like little blue or yellow pills that come with dangerous side effects, risky and painful surgeries, unnecessary and expensive doctor's visits, blood flow enhancers, testosterone pills or injections, penis pumps. Why are these solutions so ineffective? The answer is simple. They don't address the true root cause of most sexual performance issues, the secret sex organ buried deep inside your body, an organ that Harvard scientists have been studying for months under a molecular microscope. And their findings suggest that this hidden organ, an organ that we had no idea even existed until a short time ago, acts like an invisible puppeteer, a puppeteer that controls the frequency and strength of your erections and your ability to give a woman mind-altering sex for hours on end, night after night. Now, a quick word of caution. If you are no longer experiencing frequent morning erections, then I urge you to watch this short report immediately before your problem becomes irreversible. So stop whatever else you're doing, grab a pen and paper, and give me the opportunity to not only prove that there's still hope, but prove that this hidden sex organ is actually the hidden key to unlocking effortless erections at any age, reaching your max size potential, and resurrecting your sex life. But first, maybe you're wondering, who the hell am I? And what gives me the right to share this breakthrough with you? Well, like I said before, I'm Dr. Lionel Shub. For the last 3 decades, I've been in the medical trenches as an ER doctor treating thousands of patients who had one foot in the grave. And I've been a medical researcher known for saying it like it is, and delivering the unfiltered truth clearly, directly, and on occasion, crudely. And whenever I felt my patients weren't fully grasping the gravity of their situation, even swearing like a sailor. So, you've been warned. But what I'm most proud of was serving as the on-call doctor for the FBI, which means it was my duty to protect the health of men and women who protect our freedom. Now, in the spirit of saying it like it is, you're about to hear some things that you've never heard a doctor admit. But here's the thing, doctors are people too. We suffer from the same problems that you do. Which is why today I'm going to pull back the curtain on a very personal part of my life, because my own raw, unfiltered truth may just help you transcend the pain that I suspect you're in right now. Now look, I could tell you my whole sob story of how sex with my wife was becoming more and more embarrassing and less frequent, or how my wife was spending more and more time at the office with her young, attractive boss, spending more and more late nights out with her girlfriends catching up, and the realization that my sex life was on life support, not to mention my marriage, and how all of that eventually drove me to do something insane and, frankly, dangerous that could have burnt my entire family to a crisp. More on that in a moment. Just know that if you're experiencing any trouble in the bedroom, I've been there, helpless and with no clear path forward, until one day I stumbled upon a strange solution to my trouble below the waist that defied everything I thought I knew as a medical professional, which is why I made this video and why you should keep watching. Because you won't hear it anywhere else. Not from the internet, not from the drug companies, and definitely not from your doctor. And if you listen carefully, it will save you hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars. More importantly, it might just save your sex life. In other words, if you're thinking about trying natural supplements or arousal pills, blood flow enhancers, nitric oxide, testosterone pills, or getting invasive, painful, and risky surgery, don't bother. In my medical opinion, not to mention my own experience, none of them truly work because they don't get to the heart of the problem, your hidden sex organ that acts as the master switch to your erections. In a moment, I'm going to share what all of them are missing. But first, maybe you're wondering, what about those popular little blue or yellow pills? Now, as a doctor, I love the idea of being able to take a pill and get an erection whenever I want. But do they work? Well, I spent several decades on the front lines of a major trauma center and concluded that these pills can cause irreparable damage to your heart, not to mention high blood pressure, chest pain, digestive problems, insomnia, and in some rare cases, even blindness. To make matters worse, for many men, they eventually stop working altogether. So, as my own problem below the waist got worse, I had to ask myself, is there something in those little pills that could give you erections without giving you a heart attack? So I started investigating how these little blue and yellow pills actually work at the molecular level. Before I tell you how they do work, first you need to know about a nasty little enzyme in your body called PDE5. PDE5 is so nasty, in fact, that I call it the vampire enzyme. Why? Well, because just like a vampire, it sucks the blood out of your dick. Bottom line, PDE5 is your erection's worst enemy. To make matters even worse, as we get older, our bodies produce more and more PDE5, which is why you probably didn't have erection troubles when you were young. But what does this have to do with the little blue pills? Big drug companies figured this out and decided to slap together some synthetic chemicals to block PDE5, which is exactly what the little blue pill does. It blocks the vampire enzyme from sucking the blood out of your dick, which in theory sounds great. Unfortunately, blocking the vampire enzyme can come with some very serious side effects. With me so far? Now, here's the plot twist. It turns out PDE5 has a valiant twin brother, your dick's greatest ally in the battle to maintain strong erections. It's called cGMP. So if PDE5 drains the blood from your dick, cGMP is what's pumping it. In other words, PDE5 and cGMP are in direct competition. So from a biological perspective, PDE5 and cGMP hate each other. After all, the only way PDE5 can shrink your dick is by killing cGMP. If it helps, you can think of cGMP as Van Helsing, the vampire hunter, and PDE5 as Dracula. They are in a never-ending war with each other. As soon as I discovered all of this, I asked myself, why not just get your body to naturally produce more dick-pumping cGMP? In other words, instead of relying on dangerous chemicals to block PDE5, could more cGMP overwhelm and defeat PDE5? I spent the next several months trying to answer that question, and eventually discovered discovered the true source of CGMP in the body, a hidden sex organ with the sole purpose of producing CGMP. You can think of this organ as your dick's heart, because it's what's responsible for pumping blood into your erections, an organ that your doctor has probably never heard of because, frankly, most doctors are too busy treating patients to keep up with the latest scientific breakthroughs. Now, the scientific name for this sex organ is called the endothelium, and one of the reasons it took so long for us to discover it is because it's only 2 cells thick and barely visible under a microscope. Fortunately, thanks to recent developments in nanotechnology, Harvard researchers were not only able to identify the endothelium, but conclude that it's as active as any other organ in the body and confirm that it is solely responsible for pumping CGMP to your penis. Not to mention that every artery and blood vessel in your body is literally made out of endothelium. In other words, the health of your endothelium determines the health of your erections and helps regulate blood pressure, plasma, heart health, and even reduces inflammation. Here's the bottom line. Your endothelium acts like your dick's erection valve by pumping out more CGMP. In other words, the healthier your endothelium is, the better it fights the dick-deflating effects of PDE5. However, the opposite is also true. If your endothelium is weak and CGMP is low, it's like shutting off your erection valve. Not to mention inviting a whole host of other serious health problems, like nerve pain, achy joints, and an enlarged prostate. In fact, cutting-edge researchers from the International Journal of Impotence concluded that endothelial function was impaired in men who had difficulties getting erections, and a landmark study published in the International Journal of Clinical Practice found that treatments that reduce endothelium dysfunction provide effective treatment for men with erection problems. In other words, if your endothelium is working like it should, your erections should too. At this point, I was stuck. I had concluded that the endothelium was the hidden key to restoring sexual function. What I didn't know was how to restore the health of the endothelium without side effect-ridden pharmaceutical drugs. So without any clear path forward, I turned to Mother Nature and began looking into natural ingredients that might shock the endothelium back to life. What I quickly realized was that the ingredients I found in supplements, health food stores, or Amazon did absolutely nothing to address the overall health of the endothelium. So once again, I hit a wall. And hell, I'll admit it, 20 years ago I might have pushed through, unwilling to take no for an answer. But frankly, I was tired. Long days treating patient after patient, and longer nights worrying that my marriage was on its last breath. I began to accept the fact that I was just getting older and would probably never enjoy an active sex life again. Night after night, I found myself with a whiskey in one hand and a remote control in the other, watching nature specials and history documentaries. Until one night, one of those documentaries changed everything. It was about an ancient indigenous tribe called the Tupi Indians. Apparently some of the most brutal, ruthless natives in history. In fact, many of them were ferocious cannibals, eating the bodies of any rival tribe that threatened their dominion, which was long and vast. Until the year 1501, when the Portuguese landed on their shore and used their superior firepower and technology to wipe out an entire generation of young Tupi warriors, leaving only the women and elderly men of the tribe alive. As a result, in order to prevent the tribe's extinction, the surviving elders had to take 3, 4, or even 5 wives apiece. But here's where things got downright fascinating. Not only did these old Tupi men, many of whom were in their 70s or even 80s, take 4 or 5 wives apiece, but according to legend, those wives were deeply satisfied. On top of that, a relatively small group of old men were able to impregnate an entire generation of young Tupi women, which is exactly why the Tupi tribe is alive and well today. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Every other native tribe who suffered a similar invasion, like the Incas and Aztecs, had been completely wiped out, as in, they don't exist today. So how did the Tupis flourish? More importantly, how were men who were 20 or even 30 years older than me able to satisfy 5 wives apiece? I had to know more. So I dug deeper and got my hands on every book, study, and report about the Tupis I could find, and over several weeks consumed every last ounce of information about these incredible people, like how the elder men didn't have a single recorded instance of suffering from enlarged prostates. In fact, the Tupi elders were famous for sleeping deeply through the night, unless of course they were woken up by one of their pretty young wives. I also learned about their bizarre mating rituals. One of these rituals was an odd breathing technique called breath of scorching fire that, according to historical records, the Tupi elders used to energize their genitalia before mating. And I had to ask the question, if these Tupi techniques helped 80-year-olds satisfy multiple women, could they work for me? So one night, I sat cross-legged in my garage and performed the breath of scorching fire right before bed, and woke up 2 hours later next to my tools. Needless to say, they were the only tools in my garage that worked. As my desperation increased, I tried switching to a special Tupi diet, inspired by their cannibalistic ways. No, I didn't eat human flesh, but I did eat practically raw red meat for a week. And guess what happened? It didn't work either. In fact, my wife was absolutely repelled by my bloody breath. Then, after even deeper research into the Tupi, I finally found the answer I was searching for. Before sex, the Tupi men would light a fire and chant a special prayer to the heavens as they stomped and danced and pounded the ground like banshees. So one night, I did just that. I have to admit, never in a million years did I think I'd ever try something so crazy, let alone dangerous. I'd like to reiterate that I am a man of science, a doctor. But hell, desperate times call for desperate measures. So as I stomped around my makeshift backyard fire and called out, "Beam Yasa Tumba Tupi, Beam Yasa Tumba Tupi," I glanced up and saw my wife peering down at me through the window. Needless to say, she did not look turned on. And suddenly, I realized just how pathetic I had become. I immediately grabbed all of the books I had about the Tupis, dragged them to the fire, and proceeded to chuck them into the flames. I was done with the stupid Tupi tribe and their stupid Tupi tricks. Done with trying to fix my broken sex life, and done with trying to fix my broken marriage. The next morning, I woke up to an empty bed and a handwritten note from my wife. "Thanks for almost burning down the fucking house." I walked out to the ashes from the night before and began to clean up the massive mess, and noticed something at the edge of the fire pit. A few surviving pages from one of the Tupi books that were relatively unburnt. I picked them up and thumbed through them. As I looked more closely, I saw an image of a Tupi elder drinking from a wooden cup. On the next page was what appeared to be a recipe for what he was drinking, and the recipe had a name, Tupa Tai, which loosely translated to thunderbed. Evidently, this was an ancient tea the Tupi shamans gave to the elders after all the young men were killed by the Portuguese. One of the first ingredients in the mixture was an exotic plant called Tornera diffusa, and I was instantly curious if this ingredient had any clinical proof behind it. So I turned to my library of medical studies, and as it turns out, Tornera diffusa has been used for thousands of years, all across the Amazon rainforest as a bladder tonic and aphrodisiac. And in a major study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology, scientists uncovered that Tornera diffusa significantly reduced the post-ejaculatory interval. In plain English, it meant that this exotic herb decreased the downtime after ejaculation and helped men achieve another strong erection in less time. Now, I was intrigued. So I began to research the next ingredient, Miranta, which translates to potency wood, a rare and exotic shrub from the Amazon rainforest. As I researched Miranta further, it became clear why the Tupi tribe gave it that nickname. For example, in a major study conducted by leading sexual health expert Dr. Jacques Weinberg, Miranta was given to 262 men who suffered from low libido and impotence, and within just 2 short weeks, 62% of the men reported that the ingredient had a dynamic effect on their sexual performance, function, and libido, and more than half of the men reported having frequent erections. The next ingredient was Tribulus terrestris, and while you might have heard of this rare plant for its ability to naturally increase testosterone levels, it turns out that this plant also produces an odd-looking fruit that, when examined in a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled study, the absolute gold standard in clinical studies, showed that men who took Tribulus for 60 days saw a 78.1% improvement in the quality of their sexual health. Then I found yet another study that demonstrated Tribulus's pro-erectile effect caused by an increase in the release of nitric oxide from the endothelium. The endothelium. The endothelium, of course. The hidden sex organ responsible for pumping out cGMP, the very enzyme that's so crucial for achieving strong erections. Was this the answer I had been looking for? As I tore through the other ingredients in this Tupi tea, like epimedium and many more, it didn't take me long to realize that each and every one of these ancient Tupi ingredients all had strong clinical evidence that proved they boosted the health of the endothelium. In other words, every ingredient in this tea either promoted cGMP or blocked its evil twin PDE5 naturally without the use of man-made synthetic chemicals. I was in shock. Had the Tupi tribe stumbled upon an endothelium-enhancing, dick-pumping tea over 500 years ago? Or were these cannibalistic pagans several hundred years ahead of their time, ahead of most doctors, prescription meds, and other so-called modern remedies? Well, if there was one thing I knew, I was going to find out. So I began to search for the ingredients in the ancient Tupi recipe. Now, I could tell you all about the trials and tribulations I encountered hunting for these ingredients. I could tell you how most ingredients you find online are complete crap because they're either low quality, they haven't been stored properly to maintain efficacy, or they lack the clinical dosages needed to make a difference. Or I could tell you how getting premium ingredients that actually work, was expensive. I discovered that when it comes to sourcing quality ingredients, you do get what you pay for. Bottom line, getting my hands on these ingredients was a pain in the ass. But after several weeks of trial and error, and quite a few costly mistakes, I finally got my hands on what I'd been searching for. So with the charred pages by my side, I meticulously followed the ancient recipe and ground the ingredients into a fine powder. And apparently, just in time. My wife was scheduled for a 3-day work retreat with her buff young boss in Cancun the following weekend. So I boiled some water, poured it into a mug, and added a few spoonfuls of the Tupi tea powder. Well, here goes nothing. Be Mayasa Tumba Tupi. As I gulped the ancient mixture down, I have to admit, I almost gagged. Frankly, the tea was bitter, earthy, and far from delicious. But I didn't care. If the burnt taste in my mouth meant that I could feel like a man again, I'd drink it every single day. Then, I waited for the formula to kick in. Hours later, when my wife finally got home, I still felt dead as a doornail below the waist. So the next day, I increased the dose and guzzled down even more of the tea. Still nothing. Dead. At this point, it began to dawn on me that I had wasted months of my life and several $1,000s on a stupid Tupi pipe dream. But on the third day, I felt something strange, something I hadn't felt in a long time. A faint tingling, or more like a buzzing sensation in my pants, like my little friend was waking up after a very long sleep. But that's not all that came back. When my wife walked in the door, for the first time since I could remember, I felt a tidal wave of desire wash over me. My eyes lingered on her still fit physique for just a moment, and suddenly I felt like an animal, a dangerous animal. Now, before I get into too many graphic details that my wife would kill me over if she ever saw this video, just know this: not only did we have sex, but we had the best sex of our entire marriage. More importantly, with that sex, all of the arguments, all of the petty fights, all of the uncomfortable tension that had been building for what seemed like years vanished, washed away. More importantly, over the next few days, that passion didn't fade. In fact, it grew. And just like that, not only was our marriage revitalized, it was better than it had ever been. Want to know how I knew? Well, when I asked her if she needed help packing for her work trip, she said, "Oh, I decided not to go after all." Nice. Naturally, I continued to take the Tupi formula every day. Not only did I have the on-demand erections of a 20-year-old, but my little guy seemed bigger too, which made sense. When your endothelium is fully functional, more blood flows to your shaft, making it easy to achieve your maximum size potential. Beyond that, as I continued drinking the Tupi tea over the next several months, I actually began to experience even more surprising side benefits, like a boost in energy, improved focus, less aches and pains, and most importantly, I suddenly started sleeping through the night because I wasn't waking up to relieve my nagging bladder every couple of hours. As it turns out, several of the Tupi ingredients I had mixed together not only fortify the health of your prostate, they help shrink it. Since I started taking the Tupi ingredients, almost every aspect of my health, my manhood, and my marriage had significantly improved. So I suddenly became curious. I mean, the Tupi tribe had used this recipe for centuries and had even outlined how to distill it in their ancient texts. Why hadn't anyone else ever mixed these ingredients together? Then it hit me. If this simple tea could be just as or even more effective than the little blue pills without the dangerous chemicals and side effects, then couldn't it mean billions in lost profits for some pretty powerful companies? If that's the case, I suppose I could understand why they would try to hide this information from the general public, and why so many of my fellow doctors were frustrated with the available solutions, not only for their patients, but often for themselves. Now, at this point, I knew that the Tupi secret worked for me, but could it work for others? After all, each of us has our own unique biology. Just because something works for one man doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work for you. However, I didn't let my own skepticism get in the way of sharing the tea with my friends and colleagues. In a matter of weeks, word about this little blue pill killer had spread like wildfire. My inbox had exploded with dozens of requests for the Tupi tea, so I could only conclude that the tea worked for nearly everyone who had tried it, and suddenly I was faced with a decision. Should I simply focus on my practice, which had become quite lucrative, or should I venture into a new frontier and help get the word out about this incredible solution? To be frank, at first, I decided that it would be a lot safer to just stick with my practice. After all, medicine had always been my passion. Not to mention that my practice was never going to piss off any major pharmaceutical companies. But when I remembered the sacred oath I took the day I graduated from med school, to gladly share knowledge as is mine with those that are to follow, I realized something. I was sitting on perhaps the most precious piece of knowledge of my entire career. Knowledge that could free thousands of men from the shackles of impotence and insecurity, and potentially disrupt a massive industry that profits from your pain. Suddenly, I knew what I had to do: get the Tupi tea into the hands of the men who needed it most at any cost. But I had one big problem. Putting these ingredients together wasn't cheap. I was actually going out of pocket just to keep me and my closest friends supplied. On top of that, I'll just say it, the tea tasted like shit. So I looked for a laboratory that could help me source high-quality ingredients, make it affordable, and refine the recipe so that the tea tasted better. You see, I knew something that the Tupi didn't, that the secret of their revolutionary tea was that it works because it supercharges the health of your endothelium. So with the help of a state-of-the-art laboratory located in the heartland of America, I was able to identify several additional, proven endothelium enhancers that took the Tupi formula to the next level, making it your manhood's ultimate ally, a revolutionary game changer, and the only cocktail you'll ever need. And that's how Tupi tea was born. Tupi tea is the first formula designed to give you rock-hard erections on command by addressing the true root cause of sexual performance issues, a dysfunctional endothelium. And it's the only formula in the world that harnesses the long-lost Tupi recipe to not only restore your manhood, but also boost stamina and sex drive, increase the size and force of your loads, and even increase nerve sensitivity so that sex feels new again. And it increases nitric oxide levels for more girth so that you can achieve your max size potential quickly, easily, and with zero side effects. On top of that, simply having more frequent erections will also help you achieve your max size potential. See, your penis functions a lot like a muscle, and the more you flex that muscle, the more repetitions you do, the stronger and bigger that muscle becomes. Not to mention, several of the ingredients inside this formula have been proven to fortify your prostate health. So if you suffer from the embarrassing symptoms of an enlarged prostate, Tupi tea is about to become your bladder's best friend. And because the formula comes in powder form, it's not only more effective, it's fast-acting because it's broken down and fully absorbed by your body, which, by the way, is just one of the reasons why dick pills don't work. To be frank, most dick pills on the market are complete garbage because they either lack the right ingredients or the right dose of the ingredients. To make matters worse, the plastic capsules you're ingesting are not only potentially harmful to your gut, but they prevent your body from fully absorbing the nutrients in the first place. And that's just one more way that Tupi tea stands head and shoulders above everything else. Now, hopefully you're wondering how you can get your hands on Tupi tea today, and how much you should take for best results. Well, to be blunt, keeping inventory of Tupi tea has been a big challenge, because the Tier 1 ingredients have to be shipped shipped from the other side of the world. On top of that, because we use a proprietary cooling method to maintain max potency, we can only produce small batches of the formula. But believe me, the extra care and time that it takes is worth it. Because the ingredients have a much higher purity, and because it's a fast-acting powder formula, your body is able to metabolize more into your system, which makes getting hard effortless. Unfortunately, this hands-on approach means it can take up to 3 months to custom create each batch, which is just another reason we experience out of stocks so frequently. However, if this video is still playing, you can get your hands on this breakthrough formula right now. But that could change at any moment, because a whopping 91% of men who take Tupi tea just once keep coming back for more. And each serving contains an explosive amount of potency. So when you get your jars, I recommend you start by taking just 1 dose per day for the first week to assess your tolerance. Just add 2 heaping scoops to hot or cold water to make your Tupi tea. Each jar comes with a full 30 servings. Then, as you get a better feel for how much Tupi tea your body needs to power your erections, you can take a second helping before bed. That way, you're ready to rock your woman long into the night. Now, if you're wondering what Tupi tea tastes like, I've got good news. Since joining forces with a team of expert chemists and formulators, we've been able to make the Tupi tea taste pretty damn good. A lot of guys say it tastes like an exotic fruit, but if you're not into fruits, then do what I do. Just toss it into your protein shake or smoothie. That way, you're getting the full clinical dose of Tier 1 ingredients, which not only supercharge the endothelium, but also increase blood flow for longer staying power, boost nitric oxide so that your penis achieves its max size potential, help reduce inflammation for more mobility, so the rest of your body can keep up with your dick. Not to mention that the ultra-potent Tier 1 ingredients inside each jar of Tupi tea also help raise testosterone levels naturally, and even help reduce the size of an enlarged prostate, so you're in control of your bladder and not the other way around. In fact, even after you use Tupi tea to fix your dick and your sex life, many men continue to take it because it plays a vital role in their overall health, longevity, and daily performance outside of the bedroom. And you wonder why Tupi tea sells out so quickly? But that being said, I don't want anyone to go through the hell I went through, all because I couldn't get it up. Which is why in the next few seconds, I'm going to show you how to get your hands on Tupi tea at a deep discount through my max size or your money back promise, and join countless other men who made the decision to resurrect their sex lives with Tupi tea. Now, you should know Tupi tea is only available on this website, and only while there are jars still in stock. Which means if you've had some trouble in the dick department, then it's extremely important that you get Tupi tea today. Because if you delay and we run out of stock, you could be forced to buy medications like that little blue pill, which, as you know, comes with horrible side effects like hearing loss, blindness, and an increased risk of heart failure. And for many men past a certain age, it eventually just stops working, putting you right back at square one. Not to mention that it costs up to $900 per year, yet does absolutely nothing to treat the true root cause of your problem, a dysfunctional endothelium. Hopefully by now you realize that in a sea of mediocre products that barely work at all, Tupi tea rises above the competition. That's how much better this formula is. And that's how much better you're going to feel about yourself when you give it a try today. And that's why, for the first time, I'm opening up Tupi tea to the general public at a deep discount as part of my max size or your money back promise. So when you invest in Tupi tea right now, you won't pay the $500 that some of my customers are selling it on eBay for right now. You won't even have to cover half that, and you won't even invest $100, even though I'm sure you'd agree that's a small price to pay to transform your sex life. In fact, you can get Tupi tea today for a one-time investment of just $49 a jar. And when you invest in enough Tupi tea to keep your sex life booming, I'm also going to give you free shipping and handling, a $9.99 value. But remember, the clock is ticking, because due to recent global events, the supply chain for Tier 1 ingredients is severely strained, and as a result, the wholesale cost is skyrocketing. So after our current batch sells out, unfortunately I'll have to raise the price to keep supplying men with the Tier 1 formula they rely on. In other words, if you want to get your hands on Tupi tea, at the deep discount I just offered? Then get it right now while you still can. So click the button you see and choose the 3-jar Tupi Thunder package, or the bigger package if you want to avoid running out, and secure your supply of Tupi tea today. After clicking the button, you'll go to a simple and secure checkout page where you'll enter your order details, and within just a few business days from now, you'll receive Tupi tea in a discreet and unmarked package at your front door. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click the button while we still have Tupi tea left in stock and before the last of your discounted jars are gone forever. And in case you're on the fence about this, I've got some good news for you. I'm protecting your investment today with my 90-day max size or your money back promise. Here's how it works. Right now, just say maybe to Tupi tea by placing your order. Then, once you get your jars of Tupi tea, start taking it every day and see how you feel. You'll most likely notice that you feel more energized throughout your entire body, especially down there. And if you're anything like the happy men who swear by Tupi tea, you'll soon begin to enjoy effortless erections that will leave your partner gasping with pleasure. And if you're single and want to re-enter the dating pool with a massive advantage plus blazing hot confidence, then Tupi tea is your new secret weapon. But if, for any reason at all, you change your mind about your investment, I've made it very easy to get a full refund. Simply call or email my world-class customer service team, and we will give you a full refund immediately. No hassles and 0 questions asked. Just a complete and courteous refund. So you've got no reason not to try Tupi tea today, because I'm taking on all of the risk. With that said, I have complete faith that Tupi tea is going to work for you. In fact, if you're anything like the countless happy customers who have written to me personally and reorder from us every chance they get, Tupi tea is about to become your best friend inside and outside of the bedroom. In fact, the only person who's gonna love it more than you is the woman you use it with. So go ahead and click the button right now and say yes to reclaiming your manhood, yes to great sex, and yes to Tupi tea. As this presentation comes to a close, you have a decision to make. You could let this video end and go about your day forgetting everything you just learned about the endothelium and how Tupi tea helps to supercharge it for effortless erections. But what's gonna happen if you walk away from this knowledge? What will it be like in a month from now or a year from now? What if your erection problem only gets worse until eventually you just accept the fact that you'll never get to experience the profound pleasure of sex again or give a woman that profound pleasure? So I ask you, in all seriousness, why would you risk something like that when there's a simple, proven, and 100% risk-free alternative in front of you right now? That choice is to click the button you see and get this powerful Tier 1 formula for a deep discount. And remember, I've got you covered by my 90-day max size or your money back guarantee. But it's crucial you make this decision right now while we still have Tupi tea left in stock, because as you've probably seen in the news, recent global events have skyrocketed the cost of premium ingredients, and I am simply unable to maintain the deep discount I've offered you today. The moment the current batch of Tupi tea is out of stock, we will be forced to raise our price to $149 per jar just to stay in business, which means you really must act now and get the first formula designed to give you rock-hard erections on command by addressing the true root cause of your problem. Click the big button you see now to get started with Tupi tea. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. Again, I'm Dr. Lionel Shub, and I look forward to hearing your success story too. Still here? No worries. I'm sure you have some questions. Let me go ahead and answer the most common questions I get from guys who like to be armed with all of the facts, so you can make your investment today with complete confidence. Who is Tupi tea for? Even though Tupi tea works for men of all ages, it's especially potent for us older guys. That's because as we age, our endothelium weakens and ultimately flatlines your dick's heart. However, because Tupi tea contains ingredients that not only supercharge the endothelium, enhance blood flow, and stimulate nitric oxide for firmer, fatter erections, Tupi tea is especially effective for older men. In fact, if you're anything like the countless guys who swear by this formula, the older you are, the more dramatic your results. Can I take more than one serving of Tupi tea for even stronger results? A lot of guys are just fine with one serving of Tupi tea per day. However, if you plan on having sex more than once a day, or you just want to pack an even more powerful punch in the bedroom, then it's perfectly fine to double or even triple your daily dose. Full disclosure, because Tupi tea is safe to take in larger quantities, some men have reported feeling more alpha and aggressive, which makes sense. Not only did the ancient Tupi warriors drink the tea before mating, they also took it before combat. So, if you decide to take more than one serving, and you suddenly feel the urge to bench press 300 pounds and then smash the muscle-bound meatheads at your gym with a dumbbell, might be time to cut back to a single serving of Tupi tea, which should be all you need to give your woman toe-curling orgasm after orgasm. What makes Tupi tea better than any other option out there? Tupi tea is the only formula that's designed to supercharge your endothelium and unleash a tidal wave of dick-pumping CGMP. Not to mention that because Tupi tea is, well, a tea and comes in powder form, your body absorbs a much higher percentage of the Tier 1 ingredients, which is exactly why most capsules and all dick pill supplements don't work. And to my knowledge, no other product in the world specifically helps repair a damaged endothelium and allows you to restore the rock-hard erections of your youth and achieve your true max size potential. Since Tupi tea contains pharmaceutical-grade ingredients, do I need to see my doctor before using it? As a doctor, I always recommend you consult your physician before taking any new formula. However, even though some of the ingredients inside Tupi tea are extremely potent, you don't need a prescription to take this powerful formula. Will Tupi tea upset my stomach? Again, because Tupi tea is, well, a tea, not only is it easy on your stomach, it can actually be good for your digestion and help you be more regular. In fact, some Tupi groupies report that the tea helps decrease bloating and slims their waistline. Those are the kind of side effects you want. How do I take Tupi tea for best results? Because Tupi tea is a fast-acting powder formula, unlike capsules, it's much easier on your digestion, so you don't need to take it with a meal. Just add in a few scoops to some water or your favorite beverage and gulp it down. Then let Tupi tea work its magic. Click the button you see now to lock in your tea while it's still in stock. I'm skeptical of internet companies. How do I know you're a legit business? I'm sorry to say it, but frankly, there are a lot of dick pill scams on the internet. In fact, as embarrassing as it is to admit, before I discovered the Tupi secret, I fell for many of these gimmicks myself. So you have every right to be skeptical. However, that's a major reason that I decided to stake my reputation on Tupi tea, not only as a doctor, but as a man. And frankly, it's about time the scammy dick pill industry gets disrupted. So if you want to be a part of this disruptive movement, then click the button you see right now. Are there any hidden fees? Absolutely not. As a doctor, I absolutely hate when companies sneak in additional charges or fees, and maintaining your trust is just one of our company values. That way, you feel good about ordering more Tupi tea from us as soon as you need it, providing there's still some left in stock. Your investment today is clearly outlined on our ultra-secure shopping cart on the very next page, so click the button you see now to get started. I take medication. Could the ingredients conflict with it? If you're on any serious form of medication, you should always consult your doctor before taking any new formula. Now, if you're concerned that Tupi tea will be out of stock by the time you come back, then here's what you can do. Go ahead and secure your supply right now. Then before taking Tupi tea, get the green light from your doctor. And if for any reason he doesn't approve, send the jars back for a complete refund. What's Tupi tea's shelf life? Because we use Tier 1 premium quality ingredients, Tupi tea's shelf life is 2 years. However, due to how fast it's been flying off our shelves and how fast so many men are reordering, I highly doubt Tupi tea is going to stay on your shelf either. Just one more reason you should stock up on at least 3 jars of Tupi tea right now while you still can. Just click the button you see to lock in your spot. Is Tupi tea made in the United States? Yes, it is, right in the heartland of America. Although it would have been significantly cheaper to manufacture it overseas. Not only do we want to support our local economy, but the quality and safety standards here in America are far superior than the third world countries many of these dick pill dealers rely on. That's just one of the many reasons why Tupi tea is the best erection formula on the market and why I'm so proud to support American businesses. Can Tupi tea help with BPH or an enlarged prostate? While Tupi tea was not originally designed to treat BPH or an enlarged prostate, many of the ingredients have been shown to promote prostate health, which might be why so many guys, including myself, aren't waking up in the middle of the night to relieve our bladders. In fact, hypothetically, if you didn't have any trouble getting erections, but you happen to suffer from BPH, then I would strongly recommend you invest in Tupi tea right now. You'll thank me later. What does Tupi tea taste like? Does it have an aftertaste? As I said, many guys say Tupi tea tastes like an exotic fruit. More importantly, Tupi tea does not leave any kind of unpleasant aftertaste. In fact, many of our customers report that Tupi tea actually changes the taste of their load, and that their wives or girlfriends are much more likely to go down on them now. And I know these reports are 100% accurate, because more and more women are now ordering Tupi tea in bulk. So if you don't want to get Tupi tea for yourself, get it for your wife or girlfriend. Just click the button you see right now to secure your Tupi tea while you still can. Does Tupi tea contain any fillers, gluten, dairy, or sugar? Tupi tea does not contain gluten or dairy. And even though Tupi tea tastes pretty damn good, its robust flavor isn't derived from artificial sweeteners or sugar. Again, all the ingredients inside Tupi tea are natural. That means no fillers, no chemicals, and no crap. How long until I see results? Look, every guy's body and physiology is different, so you will experience results based on your unique biology. But that being said, many men who drink Tupi tea report positive results within the first week or two, and most men start to enjoy steady, powerful erections after 8 weeks of daily use. That's the beauty of supercharging your endothelium and getting it to produce more and more dick-pumping cGMP. Will increased penile sensitivity lead to premature ejaculation? Frankly, you're going to have a harder, stronger penis and experience increased sensitivity, so sex is going to feel a lot better. Not just for you, but for her, which can be very exciting. So yes, after taking Tupi tea, some guys do experience premature ejaculation at first. Luckily, our users report this effect is temporary. And more importantly, even if it occurs, you'll be able to recover fast. In other words, you'll be ready for round number 2 in a very short window of time. Plus, each time you have sex, you'll last progressively longer and longer each time without losing any of your newfound sensitivity. Will Tupi tea make my penis bigger? While Tupi tea doesn't promise to make your penis bigger than your genetics will allow, it can significantly increase the odds that you'll achieve your max size potential. Because Tupi tea's Tier 1 ingredients have been scientifically shown to flood your dick with cGMP, they can help engorge your penis beyond what you thought possible, making it bigger than you or your lover or even the guys in the locker room have ever seen. How does your max size or your money back guarantee work again? Your investment in Tupi tea is protected by my max size or your money back guarantee, which gives you a full 90 days to test drive Tupi tea. And if you change your mind for any reason, just call or email my world-class customer care team anytime you want, and you'll get a prompt and courteous refund minus the cost of shipping and handling. All you have to do is return whatever unused jars you have left, and we'll take care of the rest. But like I said before, I sincerely doubt that's going to happen. In fact, I'll bet that you're going to be so grateful for how Tupi tea transforms your sex life that you'll be calling customer service to try and stock up on jars while you still can. That's how confident I am that Tupi tea is going to work for you. Alright, I'm excited to get started. What do I do next? Click the button you see right now. Then choose the best package for your package. After you've completed the short, easy, and ultra-secure checkout process, your shipment of Tupi tea will be secured and shipped in a discreet, unmarked package straight to your front door, and you'll have it within a few short days. Remember, this is an entirely risk-free investment because you're covered by my 90-day max size or your money back guarantee. So click the button you see right now. Okay, those are the most common questions I get about Tupi tea. Hopefully, yours was answered. Go ahead and click the button you see now to get your hands on this groundbreaking formula before the last jar is gone. See how well it works and decide later if it's worth the money, because you're literally protected by my ironclad 90-day max size or your money back guarantee. I've committed to such a bold promise because I am incredibly excited about this formula, and after seeing how brilliantly it's worked for so many men, I have full faith that it will work for you. If it's not for you, I understand. We're still friends, but I think it's better to find out if this is for you rather than accepting a lack of confidence and a lack of physical intimacy as an inevitable part of aging, because it doesn't have to be that way. As you've seen for yourself, Tupi tea may be your best chance for reclaiming your sex life, your manhood, and your mojo. Plus, I know that anyone who has listened this far has suffered the same way that I suffered, and the way that millions of men are suffering as we speak. And really, when you think about it, what can you get for $49 that has the power to change your sex life forever? I could barely take my wife out to lunch for $49. So ask yourself, am I willing to give up one lunch for even just the chance to transform my sex life, my relationship, and my happiness forever? Hell, even if there was just a 10% chance of success, I'd give up that lunch. I might give up lunch for the rest of my life. Now, here's the important part. With the Tupi tea formula and the powerful endothelium supercharging tier 1 ingredients contained inside each dose, your chances of sexual success are a lot more than 10%. They might be 100%. You get the point. I truly believe this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. So click the button you see right now, fill out your information on the very next page, and watch your sex life and your penis take off like a rocket. Thank you so much for listening, and I truly look forward to hearing all about your success with Tupi tea.